I know. One of my friends, whenever I post a head, she always says that's like so creepy. It creeps her out. She doesn't like when I post doll heads. I mean, I think they're so pretty, but
yeah. Yeah, the same. And then every once in a while, if I do post somewhere one of those, somebody will send me a message with the light bulb, like with the doll lit up because the light bulb's inside of it. I'm like, no, I'm not planning on doing that anytime soon.
Yeah, no, not yet. Maybe later.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was just talking to a friend recently that, metal detecting, you just got to check the weather and the ground conditions, if it's frozen or not. But when it comes to mudlarking or beachcombing, there's a little more in depth that you have to do to be able to go. So, what do you do before you decide if you're going out or whatnot?
Yeah, well, the tide and the weather is always an issue. I go with one of my dearest friends. We try and get out once a week, but it always depends on the weather and the tides. And we usually, depending on the place we go, we usually like to go anywhere from 2 to 4 hours before low tide, and then kind of follow the tide out.
Yeah.
And my favorite months to go are the cooler months because I just can't take the heat anymore. So summer is really difficult for me to be out in the heat. So I really prefer like the spring and fall and winter.
Nice.
But it can get pretty cold. So.
Yeah, it can with the breeze
and
off the ocean.
Wind is sometimes a factor too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny with the tide. You're always feeling like you're, and in the winter you've got the, it's shorter daylight time, so you've got the tide, less daylight. Do you go out at all? Or have you gone out at all at night with like a flashlight or anything like that?
No, I've never gone at night. No, always during the day.
Oh my God.
Early morning. Like sometimes we sit in the car and have to wait for the day to break. But no, we don't go out in the dark.
Yeah, and I've done that so many times. Metal detecting with the full moon and the low tide. Oh gosh, it's one of my favorites. But I can see why with what you do. It's kind of hard because you're just not getting enough light. But
no, and it's just even if we go out when the sun's just starting to come up, it's really hard to see in all the rocks and pebbles.
Really?
But I guess if you have one of those headlamps on, that would help.
Right, definitely.
But it's hard adjusting your eyes to artificial light like that.
True. Natural sunlight's the best.
Yeah.
And have you brought anybody new who's never done it before out with you?
Oh yeah, we like taking newcomers out. It's always fun. And it's really fun meeting a lot of people that way.
It is. I brought someone who has only heard of it and seen, the videos here and there, and they're like, I really had no idea the immensity of what you're looking at. Like staring at in the mud and this, that, and the other. And they're like, how do you see anything besides the big mess? And I'm like,
yeah, I mean, your eye has to become trained, right?
Yep.
I mean, the first time you're not going to see as much as on the fifth time you're there. Because I think you train your eyes eventually to spot things.
You really do. And if you hone in on one particular thing, like if you're really wanting to find marbles or you're really wanting to find coins, you'll be surprised. You're training your brain, like, since you've never found a coin, if you start training your brain to look, you're already looking for the glass pieces, the non-metal, but start training your eye, of Because I know you find surface coins walking through a parking lot or something.
Right.
And it's the same thing in that type of terrain too. You're not just looking for the marbles and the glass, but start turning yourself, just like when you found the jewelry and stuff. But you'll notice that you'll start to find them if you just start thinking about it. You'll be surprised what your brain will, like, hey, I'm looking for coins too.
Right, right. No, I agree with that, yeah.
Your subconscious will pick up on, and tell your conscious mind, hey, back that eyeball up, back up a step, back that eyeball
right.
up. But,
and maybe if you focus on like the different shapes, like if you focus on the round shape of a coin, then it'll pop more.
Right. Because sometimes that coin could be laying on its edge, maybe it's...
I would never see that.
Pebbles
I don't think I'd ever see it.
And it's the same thing with a button. I mean, have you ever found
I love
buttons?
finding glass buttons. I love those.
You and what about metal? Have you ever found metal buttons?
Maybe a couple. I mostly like to find the glass buttons.
Right.
A lot of black, the black glass buttons.
The morning
buttons.
So
pretty.
They are.
Yeah,
the morning
I love
buttons.
those.
Yeah. Some of them are so ornate and beautiful too.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I wish I could find more of those. They're not easy to find either.
No. So when we went with Amanda, she is the bead queen. I call her the bead queen because she can, for me, until I made myself think about it, hey, I'm going to find some little beads. Like she was finding these tiny little seed beads. And I was like, I had to train my brain before I started really seeing them. I had to, consciously say, to my subconscious, look for those little beads too. And then I started finally finding them because Amanda was filling up like this massive little jar thing full of all these tiny little beads, and it was amazing me. And I was like, I just don't have the patience. I want to find the coins and the marbles and the jewelry, and the beads that I'm finding now, I'll just give to you.
Well, I do love finding beads too. I think that some of those beads are so pretty.
They really are. Do you have any favorite beads that you found that kind of sticks out in your head?
Not specifically, no.
No, nothing with flowers.
There was
or
some kind of peacock bead. It had a foil sides in different colors. It was really pretty. And little cube beads. Those are fun to find. Sometimes beads in the shape of a flower, a glass flower.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite beads.
Yeah, those shaped ones are always so neat to find. Now, have you taken a black light to any of your finds to see if anything glows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like to do that, see what shines up. Yeah. Yeah. You definitely get some glowers, with everything, with marbles, with beads, with buttons.
Right.
It's funny, I didn't realize until this last year that depending, and I don't know if you pick up any lead or not that you see, depending on where the lead was, the part of the lead was mined from, there's certain mines that had the whatever it was in it, and the lead glows as well. So I got home and I'm shining it because I have all my metal detecting finds as well, musket balls and things like that, and then I've got all the bale seals, which we find bale seals metal detecting as well as mudlarking. You find the lead circles with the writing. And it was crazy shining the black light on some of those and going, oh my gosh, they glow.
Oh, that's surprising. Yeah, I would think that lead would glow. Because I do find some lead toys.
Yep.
But I don't even think I even tried to shine a UV light on them. Black light.
See, I've never done that. I didn't know that, Amanda. I learned something new tonight. I've got to go do that with my black light and see what any of my lead stuff glows, because I mean, I guess it has uranium in it.
Yeah.
Or cadmium. That would light up too.
Or cadmium. Yeah.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
I didn't realize it until we were at Bone, and that gentleman was presenting on the lead and different minerals, and he had showed that it glowed, and I was like, "What?" Okay. Now,
well, that is something new.
Yeah. Now, Chris, do you find clay pipe stems or clay pipe bowls or anything like that down in your area?
See, that's another thing on my bucket list, a clay pipe. Let's see, the last time I was out, I found a partial part of an old kid's bisque bubble pipe.
Oh, that's
it's really tiny. And it's in the shape of the bowl is like a dog head. But
I think
part of it was broken, but I kept it anyway.
That's neat.
Was it
was really cute.
I think I watched that little clip on Instagram. Didn't you have a clip?
Yeah, the bubble. Yeah, it's a little dog face pipe. It's really cute.
Yeah.
It was so sad that it was broken, but I had never found one, so I absolutely brought him home. But I would love to find like a real pipe. So
it sounds like my dumps on the beach might be a little bit older. So if you ever, visit Maine with your husband or whatnot, I'll have to bring you out.
Oh, that would be great. I'd love to do that.
We are the vacation land, so if you do need to get away. And
I love Maine.
And none of the
Mainers, there a few times.
None of the Mainers are in chat telling me I can't invite people to Maine, so they're like, don't tell them. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, we're all sworn to secrecy. So.
Yes, absolutely. Now, so I know that I did have to do some research to find some of the dumps in our creeks and whatnot. How did you find out about the different areas that you go to?
Well, I was a complete newbie, and I met who's now a really dear friend of mine on Instagram, and I found out she lived near me, and she took me to some of her beaches. So, and then we tried together exploring some different beaches. We're always interested in exploring new places and going to different beaches. It's pretty hit or miss, There's no specific way. Like, I've always wanted to find a Victorian dump, but you can't exactly find that on a map. Yes, I want the Victorian dump map, please.
Yes, yeah. Google might not understand that.
Yeah, no.
And then I know that so I have talked to some people that were like third generation of the town, and they'd be like, my grandparents always used to bring me to this dump, and this is blah blah blah, and it got closed down, and then 1950s, and then that's where I'm like, where did you go? Where was that about? And that helps finding some of those Victorian era locations.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, I'm still searching for one of those.
You'll find one.
I hope so.
And if not, you'll just have to get the invite.
Absolutely.
Most of the ones I've ever found were always near a creek, or a major creek or a river near a town where there was usually not too far from a cemetery